Section 3, Dashboards and Queries. In this section, we're going to look at how to create a dashboard in Team Foundation Server and Visual Studio Team Services. We're going to have a look at the different categories of widgets. We're also going to look at how we create queries and get the data that you need directly out of both of the products. We're also going to check out the marketplace of how you can actually extend the default dashboard widgets and look at getting and installing new ones. And then finally, we're going to use the newly introduced work item search to find out all the information you might need. Create a dashboard. Now we're going to have a little look at how you can create a dashboard so that you can monitor what you're doing within your Agile methodology or using the Kanban board, as covered by previous sections. We're also going to look at how you can create and populate and customize this so that you can get more insight. So let's talk a little bit about that first. So dashboards within both of the products, Visual Studio Team Services and Team Foundation Server, help give you an overview of how you're tracking against your project. This is very common within Agile methodologies, but also is applicable for traditional V-model, CMMI, Capability Maturity Model Index, waterfall projects. Part of it is you need to be able to visualize and understand where everyone is. These dashboards can be custom, so they can either be per team or they could be at an individual level. So you can look at what tasks you've got and what tasks you need to work on. So what are we trying to understand? Well, first of all, we need to understand what information we need or insight we're trying to actually get. Now this can be done in a number of different ways. First of all, the preemptive analysis for TFS has been around for quite a while now, but allows you to start taking some of that metadata and understand some of the learnings taken from that. So part of it, and one of the principles we covered within the DevOps section, is around measure and then monitor. The other way of looking at things is through application insights and analytics on that. Part of it is this is built directly into your product, and then you can actually have a widget which will give you insight into how your application is performing. So we covered the easy think, make, check concept in the first section. Now if we look at this from a think, analyze and learn, what we're trying to understand is what the value of this data insight is. So part of it is we need to understand and define exactly what we want to actually learn by thinking about the questions that we're trying to answer. Now a good quote here is failure is the most important learning of all. One of the things which we've not looked at but we should be embracing within the Agile methodology is learning from our mistakes. Failed builds, failed check-ins, historical issues with deploying to different environments. All these failures are actually a really interesting angle. So looking at pinpoint failure analysis and looking at the diagnosis engines that you can apply would actually give you an insight into avoiding these issues before, whether or not that's putting new gated check-ins or some type of approach that will stop these issues going through into, say for instance, production. So let's have a quick look at creating a insight-driven dashboard that you can get information about how you're actually tracking and the project that you're working on. So starting off with Visual Studio Team Services, as you can see, we're on the Dashboards tab and it's dropped down. The only available dashboard that is by default is called Overview. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new dashboard and we're going to call this Custom Team. So this is going to be a view for the entire team. So as you'll see, you'll get a new blank custom team dashboard and it'll allow you to drag and drop the default categorized ones that we're going to go through in the next section. Let me just quickly bring over a default one like. And what we'll see is each one of these ones has a configure the individual widget, which means that you can look at the size you would like it and also look at how the information you want to actually display. So in this case, you might want test cases, but you might actually want the test results. So what's happened by running. So let's just go back to test cases for a second and then look at creating something like maybe a pivot table and then select what you're going to search it by. So first of all, let me just give two simple ones. So who created it, and then the columns can be which iteration it's going to be doing. So if we save that, now let's do the exact same thing, but quickly do it within Team Foundation Server. So the same thing, we're going to create a new board. We're going to create a custom team board. Now it's worth mentioning at this point in time, you can customize security for each one of these. So if I click on the customize, I can go to permissions here and look at managing how that's set up from a team perspective. And as you can see, I can rename them and auto refresh them, which is also very useful as information changes. You could also then have this on a screen that's or a TV screen which your team is looking at the inside, and then use the default ability to make this full screen. So let me just quickly do again. Quickly pick up some work item charts. Go to customize. We know what the size we want it. Let's have a look at a standard query which we've got. Current sprint, work in progress, and then we're going to sort it by who it's assigned to. So we've now got one of the widgets on there and we can customize it. We should also see now that it comes down from the drop down box.